Hello YouTube, Sam here from youtube.com/onlivegamer for the new Boston, and in this tutorial we're going to be taking a look at ByVal. Now when you're making subs and functions, sometimes you want those subs or functions to be able to use other variables that are outside of it. Now one way of doing this is by using ByVal, which is pretty much just giving your function or sub a a variable to use inside of itself, and it doesn't know what it's equal to, but it gets it from another part of the program. So let's go ahead and create a little demo application for this. We'll go ahead and create a new project. Now let's go ahead and select Windows Forms application, and we will just call this ByVal, and we'll go ahead and wait for that to load. Now just come over here to our toolbox, and we will add a text box. If we can find it, we'll add a text box, and then we'll add another text box, and then we will add a button that says subtract. So we'll set the text value of this to subtract, and then we'll come up here and set the name to button subtract. And just for the sake of saving time, I'm not going to rename these text boxes. So let's go ahead and double click on the subtract button so that it will generate our event handler for that. And now what we're going to do is we're going to come down here and we are going to create a function. So we'll go ahead and use the private keyword so that nothing outside of this class can use this function. So we'll use private function subtract numbers, and now inside of these parameters we're going to add a ByVal. So we'll just start off by typing ByVal, and then we'll type num1, which is the name of what we're going to use, what our variable is going to be called inside of our function, as integer. Or let's go ahead and do double, just in case they enter values that won't return a whole number when they subtract. And then we'll do ByVal num2 as double, and then we will do as double so that our function will return a double. So let me go ahead and explain this a little bit to you. When somebody calls the function subtract numbers, they're going to have to enter two values. The first value is the first number, and the second value is the second number. So that lets our function subtract numbers use the two numbers that we've given to it, and then it can do whatever it needs to and then give you back the answer. So we'll just go ahead and type return num1 minus num2. So now what we'll do is we will come up here and we'll go ahead and create an instance of subtract numbers. So we'll go ahead and start by typing messagebox.show, and the first thing that we want to show in the message box, the message of it, is we are going to type subtract numbers, and then we're going to need two arguments for this. The first argument is going to be the num1, and what we're going to use as num1 is textbox1 dot text. So basically what this is going to do is it's going to get the text from our first text box right here, and it's going to use that as the number in subtract numbers. And then for our second argument, we are going to use textbox2 dot text. And we'll go ahead and close off these parentheses, and now if we run this, you can see that it shows up our form, and if we type the number 30 and then we type the number 10 and click subtract, it's going to show us a message box with 20. Now this part right up here may be a little confusing to you, so I'll just go ahead and try and simplify it a bit. So we'll go ahead and create a double variable. So we'll type answer dim answer as double, and we will set it equal to subtract numbers textbox1 dot text, and then we will use textbox2 dot text. So what this is going to do is it's going to return a double, and it's going to be stored in the variable answer. So now instead of putting all this in our message box.show, we can just add answer. And we can also use answer anywhere else. So we can type answer plus equals 1, and we can use that later on instead of it just being used inside of this message box.show. So you can add as many ByVals as you want. You can do them with different types. You can use strings, integers, booleans, characters, and they don't have to be the same as your function type. So I could type num1 as string and it'll work perfectly fine even though our function type is a double and it's going to need to return a double. We can still pass whatever data types we need to it. So go ahead and practice with using ByVal. You can create some functions, and the easiest way to practice this is by making some calculator functions and use ByVal to pass variables or numbers into your functions. And once you've done that and you're familiar with it, go ahead and move on to the next tutorial, and thanks for watching.